Welcome to RLP Audiobooks channel, the channel that brings forgotten books back to life in audio format, so you can listen to whenever and wherever you desire, whether you're driving, chilling, and even sleeping. Please consider subscribing to the channel and click the notifications button so you don't miss out on any other videos. Now, relax, listen, ponder, and enjoy.
Surah 6. Al-An'am. Context. Period of revelation. According to Ibn Abbas, the Prophet's companion, the whole of the surah was revealed at one sitting at Mecca. Asma bint Yazid says,
"During the revelation of this surah, the Holy Prophet was riding on a she-camel, and I was holding her nose string. The she-camel began to feel the weight so heavily that it seemed as if her bones would break under it."
We also learned from other narrations that it was revealed during the last year before the migration, Hijrah, and that the Prophet dictated the whole of the surah, the same night that it was revealed. The occasion of revelation. After determining the period of its revelation, it is easier to visualize the background of the surah. 12 years had passed since the Prophet had been inviting the people to Islam. The antagonism and persecution by the Quraysh had become most savage and brutal, and the majority of the Muslims had to migrate to Abyssinia. Additionally, the two great supporters of the Prophet, Abu Talib and his wife, Khadijah, were no longer there to help him, so he was deprived of all worldly support. In spite of this, he carried on his mission. As a result of this, all the good people of Mecca and the surrounding clans gradually began to accept Islam, but the community as a whole was still bent on obstinacy and rejection. Therefore, if anyone showed an inclination towards Islam, they were subjected to taunts and derision, physical violence, and social boycott. It was in these dark circumstances that a ray of hope gleamed from Yathrib, where Islam began to spread freely, by the efforts of some influential people of the tribes of Aus and Hazraj, who had embraced Islam at Mecca. At that time, none but God knew the great hidden potential in this. To a casual observer, it appeared as if Islam was a weak movement, with no material backing. Except for some limited support from the Prophet's own family and a few poor followers. Obviously, the latter could not give much help, because they themselves were being persecuted. The topics of this surah. These were the conditions prevalent during the revelation of this surah. The main topics dealt with in this discourse may be divided under 7 headings. Number 1. Refutation of polytheism, shirk, and invitation to the creed of monotheism, Tawheed. Number 2. Belief in the doctrine of life after death, and refutation of nothing being beyond this worldly life. Number 3. Refutation of the prevalent superstitions. Number 4. Enunciation of the fundamental moral principles for building the Islamic society. Number 5. Answers to the objections raised against the person of the Prophet and his mission. Number 6. Comfort and encouragement to the Prophet and his followers, who were at that time in a state of anxiety because of the persecution they were facing. Number 7. Admonition, warning and threats to the disbelievers and opponents to give up their apathy and haughtiness. The background of Meccan surahs. As this is the first long Meccan surah in the order of the compilation of the Qur'an, it will be useful to explain the historical background of Meccan surahs in general. Comparatively very little material is available on the background of the revelation of Meccan surahs, whereas the period of revelation of all the Medinan surahs is known, or can be determined with authentic hadith relating to the revelation of the majority of Medinan verses. There are only a few Meccan surahs and verses which have authentic hadith concerning the occasion of their revelation. This is because the history of the Meccan period had not been compiled in the same level of detail as the Medinan period. We therefore have to depend on the internal evidence of these surahs for determining the period of their revelation. For example, the topics they discuss, their subject matter, their style, and the direct or indirect references to the events and the occasions of their revelation. We cannot say with precision that a particular surah or verse was revealed on a particular occasion, but we can correlate the topics addressed in the surah with the events from the life of the Prophet, and conclude which period it belongs to. If we keep the above things in view, the history of the mission of the Prophet at Mecca can be divided into 4 stages. Stage 1. The first stage was the appointment of the messenger, and ends with the proclamation of prophethood, 3 years later. During this period, the message was secretly given to selected individuals, whilst the Meccans were unaware. Stage 2. The second stage lasted 2 years after this, beginning with the opposition of individuals, followed by antagonism, ridicule, mockery, false accusations, abuse, and false propaganda. Gangs were then formed to persecute the poor, weak, and helpless amongst the Muslims. Stage 3. The following third stage lasted for about 6 years, to the death of Abu Talib and Khadijah in the 10th year of prophethood. It includes the savage persecution of the Muslims, the migration of many to Abyssinia, and the social and economic boycott of those remaining. Stage 4. The fourth stage lasted for about 3 years, from the 10th year of prophethood. This was a period of hard trials and suffering for the Prophet and his followers. Life had become unbearable at Mecca, and there appeared to be no place of refuge beyond. Even when the Prophet went to Taif, it offered no shelter. On the annual occasion of Hajj, he would appeal to every Arab clan to accept his invitation, but was met with blank refusals. At the same time, the people of Mecca were holding councils to get rid of him by killing, imprisoning, or banishing him from their city. It was at that most critical time that God opened the hearts of the people of Yathrib to Islam, and he migrated at their invitation. In the introduction to the succeeding Meccan surahs, we will determine the stage it was revealed, based on the distinctive features of each stage. The subject of this surah is the Islamic Creed. This surah mainly discusses the different aspects of the major articles of the Islamic Creed: monotheism, life after death, prophethood, and their practical relevance to human life. It also refutes the erroneous beliefs of those opposing it, and answers their objections, warning and admonishing them. Furthermore, it comforts the Prophet and his followers, who were suffering from persecution. Of course, these themes have not been dealt with under separate headings, but have been blended together in an excellent manner. Surah 6. Al-An'am.
The grazing livestock, specifically camels, cattle, sheep, and goats, as mentioned in verses 143 and 144 of this surah.
In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. All praise be to God, who created the heavens and the earth, and made the darkness and the light. Then those who disbelieve equate others with their Lord. It is He who created you from clay, and then decreed a term,
An appointed time for death,
and a specified time, known to Him,
for resurrection.
Then still you are in dispute. And He is God, the only deity in the heavens and the earth. He knows your secret and what you make public, and He knows that which you earn. And no sign comes to them from the signs of their Lord, except that they turn away therefrom. For they had denied the truth when it came to them, but there is going to reach them the news of what they used to ridicule.
They will experience the reality of what they had denied, and the consequence of their denial.
Have they not seen how many generations we destroyed before them, which we had established upon the earth, as we have not established you? And we sent rain from the sky upon them in showers, and made rivers flow beneath them. Then we destroyed them for their sins, and brought forth after them a generation of others. And even if we had sent down to you, O Muhammad, a book written in a parchment, and they touched it with their hands, the disbelievers would say, this is not but obvious magic. And they say, why was there not sent down to him an angel?
In support of his prophethood.
But if we had sent down an angel, the matter would have been decided.
They would have been destroyed immediately, with no chance for repentance.
Then they would not be reprieved. And if we had made him,
the messenger,
an angel, we would have made him appear as a man, and we would have covered them with that in which they covered themselves.
Confusion and doubt.
And already were messengers ridiculed before you. But those who mocked them were enveloped by that which they used to ridicule. Say, travel through the land, then observe how was the end of the deniers. Say, to whom belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth? Say, to God. He has decreed upon himself mercy. He will surely assemble you for the day of resurrection, about which there is no doubt. Those who will lose themselves that day do not believe. And to him belongs that which reposes by night and by day, and he is the hearing, the knowing. Say, is it other than God I should take as a protector, originator of the heavens and the earth, while it is he who feeds and is not fed? Say, O Muhammad, indeed I have been commanded to be the first among you who submit to God, and was commanded, do not ever be of the polytheists. Say, indeed I fear, if I should disobey my Lord, the punishment of a tremendous day. He from whom it is averted, that day, God has granted him mercy. And that is the clear attainment. And if God should touch you with adversity, there is no remover of it except him. And if he touches you with good, then he is over all things competent. And he is the subjugator over his servants. And he is the wise, the acquainted with all. Say, what thing is greatest in testimony? Say, God is witness between me and you. And this Qur'an was revealed to me, that I may warn you thereby, and whomever it reaches.
At every time and place, until the day of judgment.
Do you truly testify that with God there are other deities? Say, I will not testify with you. Say, indeed he is but one God, and indeed I am free of what you associate with him. Those to whom we have given the book recognize it.
The Qur'an, also interpreted as him, meaning Muhammad,
as they recognize their own sons. Those who will lose themselves
in the hereafter
do not believe. And who is more unjust than one who invents about God a lie, or denies his verses? Indeed the wrongdoers will not succeed. And mention, O Muhammad, the day we will gather them all together, then we will say to those who associated others with God, where are your partners that you used to claim with him? Then there will be no
excuse upon
examination, except they will say, by God, our Lord, we were not those who associated. See how they will lie about themselves. And lost from them will be what they used to invent. And among them are those who listen to you
when you recite the Qur'an.
But we have placed over their hearts coverings, lest they understand it, and in their ears deafness. And if they should see every sign, they will not believe in it. Even when they come to you, arguing with you, those who disbelieve say, this is not but legends of the former peoples. And they prevent others from him, and are themselves remote from him. And they do not destroy, except themselves, but they perceive it not. If you could but see, when they are made to stand before the fire, and will say, oh, would that we could be returned to life on earth, and not deny the signs of our Lord, and be among the believers. But what they concealed before has now appeared to them. And even if they were returned, they would return to that which they were forbidden, and indeed they are liars. And they say, there is none but our worldly life, and we will not be resurrected. If you could but see, when they will be made to stand before their Lord, he will say, is this not the truth? They will say, yes, by our Lord, he will then say, "So taste the punishment, because you used to disbelieve." Those will have lost, who deny the meeting with God. Until when the hour of resurrection comes upon them unexpectedly, they will say, "Oh, how great is our regret over what we neglected concerning it."
The hour.
While they bear their burdens,
Sins.
on their backs. Surely, evil is that which they bear. And the worldly life is not but amusement and diversion. But the home of the hereafter is best for those who fear God. So will you not reason? We know that you, O Muhammad, are saddened by what they say. And indeed they do not call you untruthful, but it is the verses of God that the wrongdoers reject. And certainly were messengers denied before you, but they were patient over the effects of denial, and they were harmed until our victory came to them. And none can alter the words,
Decrees.
of God. And there has certainly come to you some information about the previous messengers. And if their aversion is difficult for you, then if you are able to seek a tunnel into the earth, or a stairway into the sky, to bring them a sign, then do so. But if God had willed, he would have united them upon guidance. So never be of the ignorant. Only those who hear will respond. But the dead,
Meaning, the dead of heart, meaning the disbelievers.
God will resurrect them, then to him they will be returned. And they say, "Why has a sign not been sent down to him from his Lord?" Say, indeed God is able to send down a sign, but most of them do not know. And there is no creature on the earth, or bird that flies with its wings, except that they are nations like you. We have not neglected anything in the book,
The preserved slate, Allah al-Mahfuz, in which all things are recorded.
Then unto their Lord they will be gathered. But those who deny our verses are deaf and dumb within darknesses. Whomever God wills, he leaves astray, and whomever he wills, he puts him on a straight path. Say, have you considered?
Meaning, tell me,
If there came to you the punishment of God, or there came to you the hour, is it other than God you would invoke, if you should be truthful? No, it is him alone you would invoke, and he would remove that for which you invoked him, if he willed, and you would forget what you associate with him. And we have already sent messengers to nations before you, O Muhammad. Then we seized them with poverty and hardship, that perhaps they might humble themselves to us. Then why, when our punishment came to them, did they not humble themselves? But their hearts became hardened, and Satan made attractive to them that which they were doing. So when they forgot that by which they had been reminded,
meaning, their trial by poverty and hardship, or the warnings of their prophets,
we opened to them the doors of every good thing, until, when they rejoiced in that which they were given, we seized them suddenly, and they were then in despair. So the people that committed wrong were eliminated. And praise to God, Lord of the worlds. Say, have you considered?
meaning, tell me,
If God should take away your hearing and your sight, and set a seal upon your hearts, which deity other than God could bring them back to you? Look how we diversify.
meaning, repeat in various ways, for emphasis and clarification.
The verses, then they still turn away. Say, have you considered, if the punishment of God should come to you, unexpectedly, or manifestly?
Meaning, before your eyes.
Will any be destroyed, but the wrongdoing people? And we send not the messengers, except as bringers of good tidings, and warners. So whoever believes, and reforms, there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve. But those who deny our verses, the punishment will touch.
Meaning, reach and afflict.
Them, for their defiant disobedience. Say, O Muhammad, I do not tell you that I have the depositories containing the provision of God, or that I know the unseen, nor do I tell you that I am an angel. I only follow what is revealed to me. Say, is the blind equivalent to the seeing? Then will you not give thought and warn by it?
The Qur'an.
those who fear that they will be gathered before their Lord. For them besides him will be no protector, and no intercessor, that they might become righteous. And do not send away those who call upon their Lord, morning and afternoon, seeking his countenance. Not upon you is anything of their account, and not upon them is anything of your account.
No one is held accountable for the deeds or intentions of another. That is left to God's judgment.
So were you to send them away, you would then be of the wrongdoers. And thus we have tried some of them, through others, that they,
the disbelievers,
might say, Is it these whom God has favored among us? Is not God most knowing of those who are grateful?
Those referred to in verses 52 and 54 are the poor Muslims, who were sincere believers and students of the Prophet. The influential leaders of Quraysh had disdained to sit with them, saying to Prophet Muhammad, "Perhaps if you evicted them, we would follow you."
And when those come to you, who believe in our verses, say, "Peace be upon you. Your Lord has decreed upon himself mercy, that any of you who does wrong, out of ignorance and then repents after that, and corrects himself, indeed he is forgiving and merciful." And thus do we detail the verses, and thus the way of the criminals will become evident. Say, "Indeed I have been forbidden to worship those you invoke besides God." Say, "I will not follow your desires, for I would then have gone astray, and I would not be of the rightly guided." Say, "Indeed I am on clear evidence from my Lord, and you have denied it. I do not have that for which you seek to hasten."
The disbelievers would challenge the Prophet, telling him to bring on God's punishment if he should be truthful in his warning.
The decision is only for God. He relates the truth, and he is the best of deciders. Say, "If I had that for which you seek to hasten, the matter would have been decided between me and you, but God is most knowing of the wrongdoers. And with him are the keys of the unseen, none knows them except him. And he knows what is on the land, and in the sea. Not a leaf falls, but that he knows it. And no grain is there, within the darknesses of the earth. And no moist or dry thing, except that it is written, in a clear record. And it is he, who takes your souls by night."
Meaning, when you sleep.
"And knows what you have committed, by day. Then he revives you therein."
Meaning by day.
That a specified term,
One's decreed lifespan,
may be fulfilled. Then to him will be your return, then he will inform you about what you used to do. And he is the subjugator over his servants, and he sends over you guardian angels, until, when death comes to one of you, our messengers,
angels of death,
take him, and they do not fail in their duties. Then they,
his servants,
are returned to God, their true Lord. Surely, his is the judgment, and he is the swiftest of accountants. Say, who rescues you from the darknesses of the land, and see, when you call upon him, imploring aloud and privately, if he should save us from this crisis, we will surely be among the thankful. Say, it is God who saves you from it, and from every distress, then you still associate others with him. Say, he is the one, able to send upon you affliction, from above you, or from beneath your feet, or to confuse you, so you become sects,
following your own inclinations, rather than the truth, biased and hostile toward each other,
and make you taste the violence of one another. Look how we diversify the signs, that they might understand. But your people have denied it, while it is the truth. Say, I am not responsible for you. For every event has a fixed time.
Other shades of meaning include a permanence, a realization, and a time of stability.
And you will come to know. And when you see those who engage in offensive discourse,
meaning denials or mockery,
concerning our verses, then turn away from them, until they enter into another conversion. And if Satan should cause you to forget, then do not remain after the reminder with the wrongdoing people. And those who fear God are not held accountable for them.
the disbelievers,
at all, but only for a reminder, that perhaps they will fear him. And leave those who take their religion as amusement and diversion, and whom the worldly life has deluded. But remind with it
the Qur'an,
lest a soul be given up to destruction for what it earned. It will have other than God, no protector and no intercessor. And if it should offer every compensation, it would not be taken from it, that soul. Those are the ones who are given to destruction, for what they have earned. For them will be a drink of scalding water, and a painful punishment, because they used to disbelieve. Say, shall we invoke instead of God, that which neither benefits us nor harms us, and be turned back on our heels, after God has guided us? We would then be like one whom the devils entice to wander upon the earth, confused, while he has companions inviting him to guidance, calling, "Come to us."
The example given is of one who has lost his way, and is further confused by the evil ones, who tempt him to follow various directions, all leading to destruction. Although his sincere friends call him back to the right path, he ignores them.
Say, indeed the guidance of God is the only guidance, and we have been commanded to submit to the Lord of the worlds, and to establish prayer and fear him. And it is he to whom you will be gathered. And it is he who created the heavens and the earth, in truth. And the day, whenever he says, "Be," and it is, his word is the truth.
When interpreted as the day of resurrection, this sentence would read, "And the day he says, Be, and it is not his word will be the truth."
And his is the dominion, on the day the horn is blown. He is knower of the unseen.
That which is absent, invisible, or beyond the perception of the senses, or of the mind, and therefore is unknown to man, except for what God chooses to reveal.
And the witnessed.
What is the present, visible, and known to man? The knowledge of God includes the reality of all things, and all occurrences, no matter how they might appear, to human beings.
And he is the wise, the acquainted. And mention, O Muhammad, when Abraham said to his father, Azar, "Do you take idols as deities? Indeed I see you and your people to be in manifest error." And thus did we show Abraham the realm of the heavens and the earth, that he would be among the certain, in faith. So when the night covered him with darkness, he saw a star. He said, "This is my Lord."
In verses 76 and 79, beginning from the people's own assertions, Abraham presents a picture of his dissatisfaction, as the only logical conclusion one could reach, in order to show them the futility of their false objects of worship.
But when it set, he said, "I like not those that set."
Disappear.
And when he saw the moon rising, he said, "This is my Lord." But when it set, he said, "Unless my Lord guides me, I will surely be among the people gone astray." And when he saw the sun rising, he said, "This is my Lord, this is greater." But when it set, he said, "O my people, indeed I am free from what you associate with God. Indeed I have turned my face,
self,
toward He who originated the heavens and the earth, inclining toward truth, and I am not of those who associate others with God." And his people argued with him. He said, "Do you argue with me concerning God while he has guided me? And I fear not what you associate with him, and will not be harmed, unless my Lord should will something. My Lord encompasses all things in knowledge, then will you not remember? And how should I fear what you associate, while you do not fear that you have associated with God, that for which he has not sent down to you any authority? So which of the two parties has more right to security, if you should know? They who believe and do not mix their belief with injustice."
Specifically, the association of others in divinity with God.
Those will have security, and they are rightly guided. And that was our conclusive argument, which we gave Abraham against his people. We raise by degrees whom we will. Indeed your Lord is wise and knowing. And we gave to him Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all of them we guided. And Noah, we guided before, and among his descendants David, and Solomon, and Job, and Joseph, and Moses, and Aaron. Thus do we reward those who strive for excellence. And Zechariah, and John, and Jesus, and Elias, and all were of the righteous. And Ishmael, and Elisha, and Jonah, and Lot, and all of them we preferred over the worlds. And some among their fathers and their descendants, and their brothers, and we chose them, and we guided them to a straight path. That is the guidance of God, by which he guides whomever he wills, of his servants. But if they had associated others with God, then worthless for them would be whatever they were doing. Those are the ones to whom we gave the book, and authority, and prophethood. But if they,
the disbelievers,
deny it, then we have entrusted it to a people, who are not therein, disbelievers. Those are the ones whom God has guided, so from their guidance, take an example. Say, I ask of you for it.
This message.
No payment. It is not but a reminder, for the worlds. And they did not appreciate God, as he deserves to be appreciated.
Meaning, they did not appreciate the extent of his ability and wisdom.
When they said, God did not reveal anything to any human. Say, who revealed the book that Moses brought, as light and guidance to the people? Which you make it into pages, disclosing some of it, and concealing much. And you,
the Jews, or it may refer to the believers, who are taught by the Qur'an,
were taught what you did not know, neither you nor your fathers. Say, God revealed it. Then leave them in their discourse, playing. And this is a book, which we have sent down,
blessed,
and confirming what was before it, that you may warn the mother of cities,
Mecca,
and those around it.
Meaning, all other peoples.
Those who believe in the hereafter, believe in it, and they are maintaining their prayers. And who is more unjust, than one who invents a lie about God, or says, it has been inspired to me, while nothing has been inspired to him, and one who says, I will reveal something like what God revealed. And if you could but see, when the wrongdoers are in the overwhelming pangs of death, while the angels extend their hands,
striking them, as they are unwilling to give up their souls, for judgment,
saying, discharge your souls. Today you will be awarded the punishment of extreme humiliation for what you used to say against God other than the truth, and that you were,
towards his verses,
being arrogant. It will be said to them, and you have certainly come to us alone,
individually,
as we created you the first time, and you have left whatever we bestowed upon you, behind you. And we do not see with you your intercessors, which you claimed that they were among you,
associates of God.
It has all been severed between you,
between yourselves and the claimed associates, and intercessors.
And lost from you, is what you used to claim. Indeed God is the cleaver of grain, and date seeds.
He God, causes them to split, and sprout.
He brings the living out of the dead, and brings the dead out of the living. That is God, so how are you deluded? He is the cleaver of daybreak, and has made the night for rest, and the sun and moon for calculation.
Or, according to calculation, referring to their precise movement.
That is the determination of the exalted in might, the knowing. And it is he, who placed for you the stars, that you may be guided by them, through the darknesses of the land and sea. We have detailed the signs for a people, who know. And it is he, who produced you from one soul, and gave you a place of dwelling, and of storage,
in the earth. See Surah 77, verse 25 and 26.
We have detailed the signs, for a people who understand. And it is he, who sends down rain from the sky, and we produce thereby, the growth of all things. We produce from it greenery, from which we produce grains, arranged in layers. And from the palm trees, of its emerging fruit are clusters, hanging low. And we produce gardens of grapevines, and olives and pomegranates, similar yet varied. Look at each of its fruit, when it yields and at its ripening. Indeed in that, are signs for a people who believe. But they have attributed to God partners,
the jinn,
while he has created them, and have fabricated for him sons and daughters. Exalted is he, and high above what they describe. He is originator of the heavens and the earth. How could he have a son, when he does not have a companion?
wife,
And he created all things? And he is, of all things, knowing. That is God, your Lord. There is no deity except him, the creator of all things, so worship him. And he is disposer of all things. Vision perceives him not, but he perceives all vision.
meaning, in the life of this world, the people of paradise will be able to see God in the hereafter. See Surah 75, verse 22 and 23.
And he is the subtle, the acquainted. There has come to you enlightenment from your Lord. So whoever will see, does so for the benefit of his soul, and whoever is blind, does harm against it. And say, I am not a guardian over you.
The prophet is directed to disassociate himself from all erroneous belief and practice.
And thus do we diversify the verses, so they,
The disbelievers,
will say, you have studied.
accusing the prophet of having learned from the Jews and Christians.
And so, we may make it
The Qur'an,
clear for a people who know. Follow, O Muhammad, what has been revealed to you from your Lord. There is no deity except him, and turn away from those who associate others with God. But if God had willed, they would not have associated. And we have not appointed you over them as a guardian, nor are you responsible over them.
the prophet's duty did not go beyond delivery of the message.
And do not insult those they invoke, other than God, lest they insult God in enmity, without knowledge. Thus, we have made pleasing to every community their deeds. Then to their Lord is their return, and he will inform them about what they used to do. And they swear by God, their strongest oaths, that if a sign came to them, they would surely believe in it. Say, the signs are only with
From
God. And what will make you perceive that even if it
a sign
came, they would not believe? And we will turn away their hearts and their eyes, just as they refuse to believe in it
the revelation,
the first time. And we will leave them in their transgression, wandering blindly. And even if we had sent down to them the angels with the message, and the dead spoke to them of it, and we gathered together every created thing in front of them, they would not believe unless God should will. But most of them, of that, are ignorant. And thus we have made for every prophet an enemy, devils from mankind and jinn, inspiring to one another decorative speech, in delusion. But if your Lord had willed, they would not have done it, so leave them, and that which they invent. And it is so the hearts of those who disbelieve, in the hereafter, will incline toward it.
deceptive speech,
And that they will be satisfied with it, and that they will commit that which they are committing. Say, then is it other than God I should seek as judge, while it is he who has revealed to you the book,
the Qur'an,
explained in detail? And those to whom we previously gave the book know that it is sent down from your Lord, in truth, so never be among the doubters. And the word of your Lord has been fulfilled, in truth and in justice. None can alter his words, and he is the hearing, the knowing. And if you obey most of those upon the earth, they will mislead you from the way of God. They follow not except assumption, and they are not but falsifying.
out of ignorance, conjecture, and supposition.
Indeed your Lord is most knowing of who strays from his way, and he is most knowing of the rightly guided. So eat of that meat, upon which the name of God has been mentioned,
At the time of slaughter,
if you are believers in his verses.
revealed law,
And why should you not eat of that, upon which the name of God has been mentioned, while he has explained in detail to you what he has forbidden you, excepting that to which you are compelled?
in cases of dire necessity, what is normally prohibited becomes permissible, but only to the extent of the need.
And indeed do many lead others astray, through their own inclinations without knowledge. Indeed your Lord, He is most knowing of the transgressors. And
desist
from what is apparent of sin, and what is concealed thereof. Indeed those who earn blame for sin, will be recompensed for that which they used to commit. And do not eat of that, upon which the name of God has not been mentioned, for indeed it is grave disobedience. And indeed do the devils inspire their allies, among men to dispute with you. And if you were to obey them, indeed you would be associators of others with him.
Meaning, by your obedience to them, obedience being the basis of worship.
And is one who was dead, and we gave him life, and made for him light, by which to walk among the people, like one who is in darkness, never to emerge therefrom. Thus it has been made pleasing, to the disbelievers that which they were doing. And thus we have placed within every city, the greatest of its criminals to conspire therein. But they conspire not, except against themselves, and they perceive it not. And when a sign comes to them, they say, Never will we believe until we are given, like that which was given to the messengers of God. God is most knowing of where,
with whom,
He places His message. There will afflict those who committed crimes, debasement before God, and severe punishment, for what they used to conspire. So whoever God wants to guide, He expands His breast to contain Islam, and whoever He wants to misguide,
as a result of the person's arrogance and persistence in sin,
He makes His breast tight and constricted, as though He were climbing into the sky. Thus does God place defilement upon those who do not believe. And this is the path of your Lord, leading straight. We have detailed the verses for a people who remember. For them will be the home of peace,
paradise,
with their Lord, and He will be their protecting friend, because of what they used to do. And mention, O Muhammad, the day when He will gather them together, and say, O company of jinn, you have misled many of mankind. And their allies among mankind will say, Our Lord, some of us made use of others, and we have now reached our term, which you appointed for us. He will say, The fire is your residence, wherein you will abide eternally, except for what God wills. Indeed your Lord is wise and knowing. And thus will we make some of the wrongdoers allies of others, for what they used to earn.
Another interpretation pertaining to this world is, and thus do we make some of the wrongdoers allies of others, for what they have been earning.
O company of jinn and mankind,
they will be reproached thus, at the judgment.
Did there not come to you messengers, from among you, relating to you my verses and warning you, of the meeting of this day of yours? They will say, We bear witness against ourselves, and the worldly life had deluded them. And they will bear witness against themselves, that they were disbelievers. That is because your Lord would not destroy the cities, for wrongdoing,
or unjustly,
while their people were unaware, and for all our degrees,
positions,
resulting from what they have done. And your Lord is not unaware of what they do. And your Lord is the free of need, the possessor of mercy. If He wills, He can do away with you, and give succession after you, to whomever He wills, just as He produced you from the descendants of another people. Indeed what you are promised is coming, and you cannot frustrate, escape.
Meaning, you will neither escape, nor prevent its occurrence.
Say, O my people, work according to your position, for indeed I am working. And you are going to know, who will have succession in the home.
Meaning, in the land or in the hereafter.
Indeed the wrongdoers will not succeed. And they,
the polytheists,
assign to God, from that which He created, of crops and livestock, a share, and say, This is for God.
By their claim.
And this is for our partners,
associated with Him.
But what is for their partners, does not reach God, while what is for God, this reaches their partners. Evil is that which they rule. And likewise, to many of the polytheists, their partners,
their evil associates,
have made.
to seem
pleasing, the killing of their children, in order to bring about their destruction, and to cover them with confusion in their religion. And if God had willed, they would not have done so. So leave them in that which they invent. And they say, these animals and crops are forbidden.
Meaning, the four categories of grazing livestock, called Anam, collectively.
No one may eat from them, except whom we will, by their claim. And there are those camels whose backs are forbidden, by them.
See Surah 5, verse 103.
And those upon which the name of God is not mentioned.
Meaning, at the time of slaughter. Rather, they are dedicated to others among their deities.
All of this an invention of untruth about him.
Meaning, false assertions that such practices are part of God's religion.
He will punish them for what they were inventing. And they say, what is in the bellies of these animals?
Meaning, their milk and offspring
is exclusively for our males, and forbidden to our females. But if it is born dead, then all of them have shares therein. He will punish them for their description
of what is lawful and unlawful, according to their whims.
Indeed he is wise and knowing. Lost indeed are those who killed their children, foolishly, without knowledge, and prohibited what God had provided them, fabricating lies against God. They have gone astray, and were not guided. And it is who causes gardens to grow, both trellised and untrellised, and palm trees and crops, of different kinds of food, and olives, and pomegranates, similar and dissimilar. Eat of each of its fruit, when it yields, and give its due zakat on the day of its harvest. And be not excessive
in eating, as well as in all things generally.
Indeed he does not like those who commit excess. And of the grazing livestock, are carriers
of burdens,
and those too small. Eat of what God has provided for you, and do not follow the footsteps of Satan,
as the disbelievers have done, in making their own rulings about what is permissible, and what is prohibited.
Indeed he is to you a clear enemy. They are 8 mates, of the sheep, 2, and of the goats, 2. Say, is it the 2 males he has forbidden, or the 2 females, or that which the wombs of the 2 females contain? Inform me with knowledge, if you should be truthful. And of the camels, 2, and of the cattle, 2. Say, is it the 2 males he has forbidden, or the 2 females, or that which the wombs of the 2 females contain? Or were you witnesses, when God charged you with this? Then who is more unjust than one who invents a lie about God, to mislead the people by something other than knowledge? Indeed God does not guide the wrongdoing people. Say, I do not find, within that which was revealed to me, anything forbidden, to one who would eat it, unless it be a dead animal, or blood spilled out, or the flesh of swine, for indeed it is impure, or it be that slaughtered in disobedience, dedicated to other than God.
Refer to Surah 2, verse 173, and Surah 5, verse 3.
But whoever is forced by necessity, neither desiring it, nor transgressing its limit, then indeed your Lord is forgiving and merciful. And to those who are Jews, we prohibited every animal of uncloven hoof. And of the cattle and the sheep we prohibited to them their fat, except what adheres to their backs, or the entrails, or what is joined with bone. By that we repaid them for their injustice. And indeed we are truthful. So if they deny you, O Muhammad, say, your Lord is the possessor of vast mercy, but his punishment cannot be repelled from the people who are criminals. Those who associated with God will say, if God had willed, we would not have associated anything. And neither would our fathers, nor would we have prohibited anything. Likewise did those before deny, until they tasted our punishment. Say, do you have any knowledge that you can produce for us? You follow not except assumption, and you are not but falsifying. Say, with God is the far-reaching,
conclusive
argument. If he had willed, he would have guided you all. Say, O Muhammad, bring forward your witnesses, who will testify that God has prohibited this. And if they testify, do not testify with them. And do not follow the desires of those who deny our verses, and those who do not believe in the hereafter. While they equate others with their Lord, say, "Come, I will recite what your Lord has prohibited to you." He commands that you not associate anything with him, and to parents the best treatment, and do not kill your children. Out of poverty, we will provide for you and them. And do not approach immoralities, what is apparent of them and what is concealed. And do not kill the soul, which God has forbidden to be killed, except by legal right. This has he instructed you, that you may use reason. And do not go near the wealth of an orphan, except in the way that is best, until he reaches maturity. And give full measure and weight, in justice. God does not burden anyone, except within its capacity. And when you speak, be fair even if it is a near relative. And fulfill the covenant of God. These are his instructions, so that you may remember. And, moreover, this is my path, which is straight, so follow it. And do not follow other ways, for you will be separated from his way. This has he instructed you, that you may become righteous. Then.
Meaning, additionally, or, moreover, not denoting time sequence.
We gave Moses the book, making complete our favor upon the best, and as a detailed explanation of all things, and as guidance and mercy, that perhaps in the matter of the meeting with their Lord, they would believe. And this Qur'an is a book we have revealed, which is blessed. So follow it and fear God, that you may receive mercy. Lest you say, the book was sent down to 2 nations before us, and we were unaware of what they study, or lest you say, if only the book had been revealed to us, we would have been better guided than they. So there has now come to you a clear evidence from your Lord, and a guidance and mercy. Then who is more unjust than one who denies the verses of God, and turns away from them? We will recompense those who turn away from our verses with the worst of punishment, for their having turned away. Do they then wait for anything, except that the angels should come to them, or your Lord should come, or that there come some of the signs of your Lord?
Those denoting the approach of the last hour.
The day that some of the signs of your Lord will come, no soul will benefit from its faith as long as it had not believed before, or had earned through its faith some good. Say, wait. Indeed we also are waiting. Indeed those who have divided their religion and become sects, you O Muhammad, are not associated with them in anything. Their affair is only left to God, then he will inform them about what they used to do. Whoever comes on the day of judgment with a good deed will have 10 times the like thereof to his credit. And whoever comes with an evil deed will not be recompensed except the like thereof, and they will not be wronged.
Meaning, treated unjustly.
Say, indeed my Lord has guided me to a straight path,
a correct religion,
the way of Abraham, inclining toward truth. And he was not among those who associated others with God. Say, indeed my prayer, my rites of sacrifice, my living and my dying, are for God, Lord of the worlds. No partner has he. And this I have been commanded, and I am the first among you, of the Muslims.
Meaning, those who submit to the will of God.
Say, is it other than God I should desire, as a Lord, while he is the Lord of all things? And every soul earns not blame, except against itself. And no bearer of burdens will bear the burden of another. Then to your Lord is your return, and he will inform you concerning that over which you used to differ. And it is he who has made you successors upon the earth, and has raised some of you above others in degrees of rank, that he may try you through what he has given you. Indeed your Lord is swift in retribution, but indeed he is forgiving and merciful.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed listening to this book, please give it a like, and consider subscribing to the channel, and click the notifications button, so you don't miss out on any other videos.